And welcome to today's CTL's Educational Professional Development webinar. My name is Amy Al-Khalisi. I'm the EdTech Project Manager here at CTL, and I'm joined by Stephanie Shea. She's our Marketing Manager. I think some of you guys know us pretty well by now. If you're not familiar with CTL, we are based out of Portland, Oregon, and we provide innovative IT solutions to education and government customers for many years, at least 26 years. We are Google for Education partner specializing in rugged CTL Chromebooks, laptops, convertibles, 2-in-1s, and tablets. Over the last 2.5 years, we've worked with Google to introduce a line of CTL Chromebooks that have been recommended by PC Magazine as the best choice for Chromebooks in education. As part of our commitment to education, we offer free professional development webinars on a variety of topics that are relevant to K-12 ed tech. So today's webinar is Intermediate NCLab, presented by Sheila Crawford Bunch. She is the director of the education portion at NCLab. Just a quick reminder, I want to review this interface for you guys to know how to participate. You'll see something that looks like this on your computer desktop, and in the upper right-hand corner, you're using your speaker system by default, but if you want to join over the phone, just hit the tab of the telephone and the audio pane, and the dial-up information will be there as well. You may type any questions into the question pane of the control panel during the presentation, and most of the questions will be addressed at the end. However, Sheila had said that at certain points, she's going to pause and ask if there's any questions, and Stephanie will handle the questions. So there'll be a few breaks in between, just to let everybody know on that end. And real quick, before the next slide, I'm going to launch a poll to learn a little bit more about you guys and what you know. So indicate if you have used NCLab or know anything about it, and then we'll look at those results. But before I launch that, I want to introduce you to Sheila. She's going to be running our presentation, and I want to remind everyone about some of our resources at the Nevada Ready 21 for Educators. When you visit the nr21.ctl.net website, you can learn more about upcoming professional learning opportunities. You can sign up for updates, upcoming events, and don't forget to join the Google Plus private community just for NR21 folks. So there's a lot of updated information in that area as well. So right now, let me launch the poll, and then I'll introduce you guys to Sheila. All right, hopefully that should pop up. Can you guys see that?
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm noticing too, like if we don't have like a response, sometimes people are kind of shy. So I'm going to go ahead and close it, and a lot of people maybe aren't as familiar with it, which is okay because it lets Sheila know.
I actually saw 100% some experience.
Oh, yeah, there it
Do you want me
is.
to? Yeah, so that's good to know. Everyone has some
So
experience.
some, or they maybe have seen the first webinar, which is great. Okay.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. All right. Let me get that off there. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about Sheila. I want to introduce you to Sheila Crawford Bunch. She's the Director of Education at NCLab. Sheila is a teacher dedicated to bringing STEM, including coding and 3D modeling, to all students. She's worked in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics for over 30 years before becoming an educator. She supports teachers in development and develops essential resources such as lessons plans, course mappings, and alignments with Common Core standards and NGSS. Sheila will now take you through some of her features of NCLab. So let me transfer screens over now. Let's see here. Bear with me. I have a little bit of a different panel. All right, Sheila, it should be coming over your way.
Got it.
All right.
Okay, hi everybody. It's an absolutely gorgeous fall afternoon here in Reno. I hope the weather is treating you well where you are. And today's webinar is focusing on Carol coding. Several teachers have started this course with their students. A few have actually completed it and are on to Tina. Just wanted to make sure you were familiar with why you might want to teach Carol and some of the nuts and bolts. I've put our website address there. You can always go there at any time to learn more about NCLab. Okay, so Carol's a very basic course, and sometimes people wonder why they need to start with Carol. So I'm going to go over that. You'll find out what your students will learn, how they're going to learn it, how they're assessed, some suggestions on how you can fit Carol into your curriculum, and something about what else we offer besides the course. Okay, this is what I love about Carol as a teacher. It's using both sides of the brain. The students are required to actually type their text, so unlike programs like Scratch, which is a drag and drop, they're actually writing. And that it's amazing how quickly you develop programming skills when you have to script. At the same time, every time they hit the go button on their program, they see what happens on the maze. And it provides multi-sensory feedback, visual, spatial, kinetic, auditory. There's lots of noises when he crashes into walls. So that gets the kids an instant feedback, and then they can see exactly what line gave them a problem, and there are error messages that help too. You can see if you look on the left-hand side, the script is really simple. If you're familiar with programming languages at all, they use a lot of punctuation and other markings to do specific jobs. Carol strips all that out, so if they can type the word go or wall, they're in pretty good shape. Really, the purpose is when you take the language requirements out of the way, they can really focus on developing their logical reasoning, and that's what we'd like to see.
Hi, Sheila.
Yeah.
This is Stephanie. Sorry to interrupt. I'm wondering if you can move your toolbar for the webinar over to the right. We actually are seeing a bit of a shadow. You're not supposed to be able to see it, but we're seeing sort of a black shadow that's blocking part of your slide. So I don't
Okay.
know if you have enough room on your screen to do
How's
that.
that? How's that?
That's much better. I see it
All right. Okay.
tiny. Can you go any farther to the right with it? I just see a little bit more we wouldn't want it to block any of your slides.
No, I
So it
think
looks
that's
like
it. There's just
Yes.
some
that's it.
Hi,
controls.
this is Amy. I can see it now.
Okay, good.
It looks good.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't think there's anything here we need to go, but this screen, yes, it was sort of blocking that side. I couldn't see it either.
Ah, okay,
So,
good. All right.
okay. So, all modeling and languages on the computer are based on this fundamentals of logical reasoning. So that's why we use Carol. Okay, so Carol's broken down into 5 units. The first one is really simple. It starts with just mechanical controls. So these are actually buttons, or they can use keystrokes too. And really, they're just in that beginning part, they're learning how to navigate with the robot and see things from the robot's point of view. That can be a little difficult. You'd be surprised how many people struggle with left and right. And also, there are some certain functions that operate when Carol is in a square, and there's other functions that operate when he's looking at a square. So it's good to get all those bits and pieces out of the way, and it does, even in this very basic unit, it's starting to cultivate some thinking. In this particular one on the screenshot with the pumpkins and the corn, the program's been limited to 25 steps. Well, the kids have to start thinking how to get through this maze and pick up a pumpkin and a piece of corn in only 25 steps. And when I'm walking around the classroom, that's usually where I hear the first sad sounds that Carol hasn't made it through the maze, because oops, they have to start thinking a little bit. By the end of the unit, they're typing. They type commands like you see on the lower screen there, and they're building repeated patterns, repeat loops. And at that point, they should be able to create their own mazes with features such as nested loops, and I'll show you a little bit about that later. Okay, in the intermediate stages, there's 2 units there. The second unit, they're learning about conditions. Of course, we want our computer or our robot or whatever we're programming to respond to conditions around it. It's not necessarily going to do the same thing every single time. So they learn how to use if and else conditions, larger structures such as while loops, and then combining all those elements together. You can see on this upper screen here, Carol's going to go to the home square, which is this green striped square over here. And along the way, there's a poisonous plant. So he has to test every single square to see if it contains a poisonous plant. And if it is a poisonous plant, then he's going to want to walk around it before he goes home. On the lower screen, this is an example of a screen from Unit 3. They learn how to build their own custom commands and how to use variables and how to write functions. So it's getting a little more sophisticated in terms of logical structures. And that particular one, Gathering the Pearls, it's part of a lesson arc that teaches different ways to write, or how to write different algorithms and how to compare them to see which are the most efficient. And in this particular case, the shorter code is less efficient than writing it a little bit different, a different way that's longer. So we incorporate a lot of thinking about the algorithms into the program. Okay, then we have the advanced level skills. Now, depending on your student population, some of them will be fine with this and some of them might need a little help. In Unit 4, they're getting into coordinates and comparisons. Booleans are basically true-false testers, and then using random variables in their programs. Unit 5 is definitely a little more sophisticated again. They're doing some decision making. They're using a type of programming called recursion, which is a little tricky. I remember using it many decades ago, and that's how mainframes got crashed. But it's still useful in certain situations, so they learn that. And then they're given some advanced challenges to solve. All right, so that's the what. There's 5 units. You can take your students through partway through or all the way as you choose. These are self-paced courses, so you might find some kids are ready to blaze into this more difficult stuff, and other kids will still benefit from even doing the basics. All right, any questions so far about how the courses are set up?
Hi, Sheila. This is Stephanie. I haven't seen anything come in yet, but I was just curious about the youngest age that students usually start this.
Well, we've had kids as young as 9, but that's a little young for average kids. Um, by the time they hit middle school age, which is most of these teachers are middle school, they should be fine. They have enough formal reasoning and a little bit of math, and they tend to be a little more willing to stick it out. I used
Mm-hmm.
it with my 4th graders, and I really think they all benefited from it, but it is a bit on the young end for Carol.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious. That's good to know.
Yeah,
Thanks.
for sure. And we are going to be designing 2 carols, one for middle school and one for high school and above, so that we can make it a little tougher on the older crowd and keep it simple for the younger crowd.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this is now we're getting into the how. How are they going to learn? Well, all the instruction is built into the program, and teachers can still embed it in a classic direct instruction model, present things at the beginning of a unit, for example, to the whole class. And but there's a lot in the program itself. There are YouTube videos, and they appear at the beginning of each concept, and then there's a button on the screen. The kids can always go back to it and watch it again if they don't get it. So those go through the procedures step by step and explain them, and they're available anytime to the students. The one thing you might want to watch out for is some schools block YouTube, so you might want to test it out with a student account and make sure they can get YouTube. The other thing that's embedded in the levels are these instructional screens. So before they use a skill, they're going to see some of these. In this particular screen, it's showing how indentation is going to affect their program, and they have to always start their command lines right at the left margin. You can see at the bottom there's a little blue line, and that the margins are always indicated in Carol, so they can see, oh yeah, that's two characters to the right of that blue line. It needs to get pushed back. Indentation actually has meaning. If you're writing loops, then that's when you indent. We've also included demonstration levels, and they will have a little black button at the bottom of the screen, and all the students have to do is click on that. It'll go line by line through the program, so it shows exactly what Carol is doing. So this is how the course is set up. There's 5 units that we looked at the overview on them. Each of those units is broken down into 5 sections, and you can think of a section as a concept arc. And then each section is made up of 7 levels. So the levels will take them through that instructional arc and give them instruction and practice. Really what you're getting is you're getting systematic instruction and practice with gradual release, and there's 175 levels in all. A couple of years ago, we broke the course down and re-released it. Actually, it wasn't that long ago. It was in March when we re-released it. And it was based on feedback from teachers. What they were finding were some levels jumped up too quickly. So we completely overhauled the course, and now it's much more gradual. I think it works a lot better. Okay, so that's a little bit on the how, the instruction that's built in there. Are there any questions on the how part of it?
Hi there, it's me again.
Hi.
I think that was all really clear. I didn't have anything. I don't see anything at this time, so feel free to move forward.
Okay, all right. Well, this is the fun part for me, and I think sometimes teachers neglect this part. If you go to Creative Suite and then you click through into programming, you'll get to a place where kids can create their own Carol games. It's fun, and this way you're also getting your performance tasks, which to me, that's what we want. We don't want them just to ingest. We want them to create something with what they've learned. Then we know they have it. So they can go, they can build their own maze. You can see from the picture there's lots and lots of objects they can use. They can create their own walls, their own backgrounds. Then they can turn it into a game, and they can show the answer set. They can give hints. They can put in a storyline. They can make restrictions. You know, this has to be solved in 12 lines or something. And their games can be saved. They have their own cloud folders that they can save the games to. They can share them, or they can save locally. I think right now that's the best way for teachers, is if you have a shared folder, say on your Google Drive, they could save it there. They can also be published. We're working on a little bit better file sharing with the teachers, but right now that's how you would go about sharing these. We've also created a set of student journals, and each section in the course has 4 pages devoted to it. So this example here is from section 18. It's in the 4th course? Yes, the 4th course. And this is where they're learning how to use the random integer function. So after a while they're going through it, they have some problems here to solve. So how would they write the code for rolling snake eyes, for example? Or how would they roll a 7 on a dodecahedral die? There's some reflection on what they learned in section 18.6. There's a place where they can take notes while they're going through the levels. And then this little exercise, I remember doing this with 8th grade math students learning probability, was it's a fun exercise. If you guess at a test, how well are you going to do? So you can guess A, B, C, or D as answers, and do a random answer, and then I have an answer key on one of the subsequent pages that they can check to see how they did and get a feeling for how that random choice worked. So all of these sections have some academic work that they can do, and they also include a bulletin board page. So if there's an idea, say on randomness, they can post links or pictures or ideas on their bulletin board page. And then there's always a design page where they can design games offline. So this is old-fashioned pencil and paper at the moment, but I think it's helpful when you're trying to teach it as a full course. Something that we haven't emphasized very much in previous presentations, there is a pretest and a post-test on algorithmic thinking. And if you want to get a feel for the impact of them taking the course, you could have them try the pretest before they start the course and then do the post-test afterwards and just see how much progress they made. Excuse me. We should, by December, oh, I just got a frog in my throat. Hang on. By December, we should have some built-in quizzes, so those will be right in the levels themselves. And we're also working on end-of-course assessments. So again, this is for if you're teaching it in a more formal course structure. Okay, so how are you going to fit it in your curriculum? Every teacher has different needs. Some people need sorry about that. Some people need a full course. If you do it that way, you're going to get most of your students through the entire thing, and they really will have a strong background for programming. And we do have lesson plans, we have a pacing guide, and we have journals to help you set up your course. You could also do as a center. I spoke with a teacher who is teaching robotics, and she doesn't have enough robots to go around the class. Well, this would be a great center. Then you can have some of the kids working with the robots and some working on Carol. They would fit very well together. We have other teachers that teach a full STEM program, so that's again something that could be done as a center or periodically through the STEM program. As a bonus activity, I know teachers do this. I certainly did it with my math students. When they finished their math problems to my liking, they were allowed to go on NCLab and work on Carol. It had a tremendous impact on their ability to do math. It really enhances their problem-solving skills, their perseverance, their logical thinking, they're looking for patterns, all those wonderful process standards that we're so familiar with. And then I've also worked with teachers who use it as a club. They have a lunchtime club or a before school or an after school club. So that's a great way to set it up too, especially if you want to sort of try it out before you try it with a full class. You may want to have the kids do an entry into a science fair, especially if they design their own game. There are opportunities in Skills USA to compete in game design, so that's a possibility. You can go to their website. And the other thing, we're hoping to kind of encourage this a little bit, is to collaborate with an entity that's outside of school, such as a library or a service club. Because let's face it, as teachers, we only have so many seconds in a day, and I know sometimes it comes down to seconds. So especially since these kids have one-to-one Chromebooks, they may work on this outside of your classroom environment. And you might want to check with the library or Boys and Girls Club or Scouts or whatever you have in your area, and see if you can do something that's a joint effort. We do have a camp guide, and that's great if you want to set up a camp, say over spring break or a weekend or something. It's got some good ideas on how to do that. Okay, so besides Carol, if you want to just get a quick taste, we do have Carol on Hour of Code. You'll see a link on the website to that, and it's up and running for this year. We have other courses. We have Tina Turtle, the 3D modeling course. We'll have the Python course overhauled by January. And that's more, that's the full Python language. I can't overemphasize this creative suite. If you get your kids working in this, where they do the Carol game, there's so much there, and they get to do that forever. This extends way beyond the license. It can be accessed from any computer. You do have cloud storage, so all your students have it, you have it, and it's free. It stays there. And the last thing, we're really hoping that some of the teachers will want their kids to submit their games on our online gallery, and that way the whole world can see what a wonderful game they created. Also, you might want to tune into our blog. We're working on that a little more regularly. It'll give you some ideas, tell you about events. We're going to start some contests, so those will be there. And we're working on a monthly newsletter, so lots of stuff coming up. Okay, so that's really the gist of it. And this is something I want to make sure we help you the best way you need to be helped. So that could be just email and phone. Hangout meetings are great, especially if you're having a little trouble with on your end. I can see your screen and see exactly what's going on. We are willing to do a live training sometime in the future, so if you're interested in a live training, let us know. The full training takes 2 days, and that trains in all the courses. We can do more webinars. If you have a topic you want to pursue, we can do that. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, you can get that. And what else would you like to see? So I'm going to turn it back to you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Sheila. We got a couple questions coming in while you did that last section. One is kind of related to how you're talking about the curriculum. They're asking, how can you have a competition with students in writing code or playing their games? Is there anything like that in the courses?
Well, this is where the Creative Suite comes in. If they create a game, you could have almost like a show and tell session, or even invite the parents in, and they can set up the different games around the room. People can play them and see if they can solve them. Basically, the games are like little puzzles. So that's one suggestion. They can also be the files. They're just simply files. They can be shared. They can be shared online. They can be, if you want to publish them on our website, just let us know. We'd be happy to do that. So hopefully that answers that question.
And the gallery, yeah, the gallery that you mentioned. So
right.
Even, they could be comparing games with somebody in another part of the world, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exciting. The other question has to do with teachers. How can a teacher monitor each student's progress?
Okay, let me flip back to that. Actually, I can switch over to, hang on, here we go. Let's see, if I get out, if I exit, that's okay, right?
Yes, that should
No.
be fine. We'll see your desktop,
Okay.
I think.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me go to NCLab. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, looks good.
Okay. All right, so you'll see this icon here, My Students, and this is how you monitor your class. You click on that, and I'll see if I can find one. All right, so I can see here NCLab Guest 1, Guest 6. Guest 6 made it all the way to this level here, and I can click on that. I can see the user's name. They had 2 failed attempts. It tells me failed submissions. They had 2. They did not use the code template. Now the template is they're like hints. So
Okay.
they didn't do, and they earned 100 points. So they do earn points. Oh, I don't know what happened. It looks like I skipped over that slide. Huh, that's weird. I didn't see it come up. Excuse me. They do earn points. That's another way you can assess them. They get points for every level they complete, but also whether they use a template or whether they met the maximum number of lines of code. Those are all ways they can improve their scores.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, that's great. Well, while you're in your desktop, would you want to show a little bit inside the Creative Suite, maybe how that can
Sure.
work?
Okay. All right. So here's Creative Suite. I'll make that a little bigger. It doesn't make any difference. Okay, so there's programming tools and modeling. There's math tools, computing tools, tools you can use in chemistry and physics. LaTeX is a publishing tool. So there's lots going on in here, and we keep adding to it. Carol's under programming. So in programming, you can see that you can use Python itself. There's Carol the Robot, JavaScript. There's 2 different Tina programs that you can write within those. So we'll go to Carol. And so this is the default template here. That'll come up every single time. When I go to Designer, I can erase the maze. So I can go clear all. This says yes. Okay, so there's an empty maze. I can select a theme. So let's put in a mountain theme. Okay, so there's mountains too. So now we have mountains. I can move my home plate somewhere. I can move Carol over here. And then I can set up some objects. So maybe, let's see, he's got a river he can't cross. I can click water and I can put a river in here somewhere. And he's going to have to go around that if he sees it. Okay. And then I can put in objects that he collects. And I don't know, he's going to find some artifacts. So there's a mask he needs to collect over here. So that's how you build the maze. And then you can see this is flashing at me. I can save it. I can call Carol Mountain. And now I've saved it as Carol Mountain. And now I can convert it to a game. So when I convert it to a game, then I can edit it. And this is where you can put in the code that would solve it. You can put in, they can make their own clues with the code template. They can write a little summary. Carol needs to find the golden mask of whatever. Okay, so they can write a summary. They can provide hints. And they can set goals. So I can say he's got to solve this in, well, maybe I'm not worried about the number of steps, but I might want to say that he has to use the words while, and he has to use the word home. So while not home, maybe that's what I'm asking him to do. I can assess points for not using the template. This is one that they'll see a lot in their own codes. I might say he's got to do this program in 15 lines and will earn an extra 10 points if he meets that goal. And you can see there you can shorten it up. So there's lots of things. You can create a victory message. Yay, Carol! So, and they can do it in more than one language. So this is really, like I said, it's fun. They can create a game for Carol and they can run it so they could actually now type the program to see how that would be solved. And so that's a little bit about Creative Suite.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned the languages. I just was noticing that when you had the screen up, how many different languages are available?
Okay, right now, and this is, unfortunately, the instruction panes don't, no, actually, I think they do change. English, Spanish, German, Czech, Polish, Italian, French, Russian, oh, Greek, and Chinese. That's what we have
Wow,
so far. Yeah.
that's really great. And then I know that this is for use, with their Chromebooks and, the NR21 teachers have. But is there any app that could be used on other devices? Could they do coding on their phone, for example?
They can. Tablet is, I've used my tablet. The phone's a little small.
Okay.
It's a lot of information. It's difficult to, when you're changing an app for a phone, usually you take advantage of things like columns, and so it's not quite there yet for a phone app. That's something we're working on. But certainly a tablet they can use, and any other computer. It'll work on any
Okay.
computer. Yeah.
So that's great because it's all in the cloud. So if they had some different computer at home, they could just log in and work on their project. Is that true?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. They would just go to their file menu and open it up from there. So I can just go to there. And there's my Mexican corn maze that I made. I could open that up and start working on it. Yes, it doesn't matter if it's a public machine or their own. Any machine will do.
That's really great. That's great how versatile that. I know that it's really easy with the computers they have at school, so it's nice to have that. And with like you were saying, the integration with Google Drive, so they can actually save. What can they save as far as in the drive? You mentioned that earlier.
Okay, so let's say I wanted to save this. If I do save as, it's going to save to my cloud storage on NCLab, but I could do save to disk.
Mm-hmm.
So it's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. Oh, that must have gone to my, okay. So it just saved probably to my download folder, and from there I could move it into Google Drive.
Okay.
And I think probably more and more teachers are setting up shared folders. So when they could move it from their download to into a shared folder.
Okay, that's great. And so then, could different students log in, like sharing the same account, or is it one account per student?
It's one account per student because it tracks their progress.
Oh,
So
gotcha. Okay.
yeah, but there's plenty of accounts, so that shouldn't be a problem for anybody in this program.
Okay, great. Yeah, didn't come from a teacher. That was something actually that just
Yeah,
popped into my head.
yeah,
It's,
and really that's why. It's because their progress, they're keeping track of their progress, and so are we. Now, it is possible to reassign an account, and you can wipe out the progress so that you start it all over again. Um, the reason why we don't recommend that is because a lot of times students get started on these in a classroom and they want to continue afterwards. And if they get wiped out, they can't. And oh my goodness, it was the perfect day to do a webinar. Somebody's vacuuming in the background. I hope you didn't hear that too badly. But this is the thing, is we do want it to stay with the student long enough that they really get a chance to explore all the courses and the tools.
hmm
So it can be transferred. We don't recommend it, but it's not impossible.
Okay, great. We had a question come in about maybe some examples of the advanced code. Is there
Okay,
some of the advanced games or something?
sure, sure. Let's go into courses here. Okay, is Carol. All right. Okay, so Carol 5. Okay, oops. Oh, that doesn't make any difference. Okay. All right, so let's see here. Let's see this one here. Okay, so this is using the random function, and I'm going to just enlarge that a little bit, make this bigger. All right. The wonderful thing about a maze, you think, oh, what can you learn with a maze? You look at this logical structure. There is a lot going on there. There's a while condition, okay, and then that empty means that his pocket up here is empty. So he doesn't have anything in his pocket. So we're going to keep running this program until he finally finds a rug. And it's using a random function. Um, he can go as long as there isn't a wall. And if there is a wall, then he's going to use the else branch. And there's some turns involved, and if there's a rug, he's going to get that. So let's run it and see what happens. It's like, come on, Carol, it's over here. This is something that kids don't understand with robots. Oh, he's done.
Oh, I like that
Yay,
celebration.
yay, Carol. Okay, and then, they start to see how robots really don't think for themselves. It's like, Carol, the rug's right in front of you. Carol can't see the rug unless he's right on top of it. So, so this is where, this is total points, and he's got a score. It gives a lot of information on how he did with that. So that's an example of one of the levels up in the 5th course.
And would that be more high school or would that be later in middle school?
It really depends. Because it's gradual and because there's a lot of instruction, I think once kids understand what resources are available to them, they're willing to try a little bit more. And we've had a lot of middle school kids complete the course.
Okay.
So it's doable. It does get tougher. And
Hmm.
what I like about it as a teacher, I don't have to take these assignments home at night and grade them. The moment they hit that run button, they're getting feedback. And if it doesn't work, they'll know right away.
Well, that's an interesting point. And then I was curious if, teachers who maybe don't have a lot of computer science experience could still use this because it seems like the course is already doing the teaching. But do you have teachers without a lot of experience use that?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Um, it really varies with background. We do have lesson plans that explain things in a little more detail, which can be used by teachers to provide a little background. Really, the best way is to run the course yourself and go through it. And of course, teachers also have solution manuals. And we ask, pretty please, don't share those with your students. Please,
Yeah.
please, please. So you've got the answers in front of you. You get a key to the solution manual. So if nothing else, you can be fat, dumb, and happy and just go, okay, all right, oh, I see they were supposed to indent on that line and not know a thing about what's going on. But you can kind of say, yeah, maybe you should check out line 3.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, it's
So,
good
no,
because,
you don't have to be an expert. Yeah.
yeah, I think that, some schools that may, be a factor, and it's good that this is sort of something that is more self-directed by the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's all I have on my end. Is there anything else you want to make sure to point out before we wrap up?
Yeah, let me go back to this slide here. So please, yes, get a hold of us. Let me go back into the view, present mode. There we go. Okay. You can get always get anybody at support@nclab.com. And I put that there in case I end up doing something different in the group. Right now, all these come to me anyway. There is an 800 number. I put down my cell phone number as well. Please get a hold of me. I'm really happy to work with you in any way I possibly can. So that's
That's
about it
great.
for
I
me. Yeah.
appreciate it. Okay. Well, I think we should pass this back to Amy.
Oh, that was a great presentation and very colorful slides. Thank you, Sheila, and great questions, Stephanie and teachers. Let me see if I can transfer back over. All right, let's see what slide I'm on here. Okay, that should show up, I believe. All right. I'm sorry, Sheila, what was that?
Sorry, that was Stephanie. I was just saying I can see your slides.
All right.
But
Okay.
if you slide your toolbar over, because I'm also seeing some black boxes covering the text. There we go. Perfect.
All right. Thank you. Well, thank you, Sheila, and everyone for attending today's webinar. If you have any questions, make sure to contact myself or Sheila, as you can see on the screen. And also, don't forget, you can receive a certificate of completion by visiting the link that's up on your screen. Fill out the survey, and then your certificate will come back to you as well. This survey helps us gauge the effectiveness of these webinars to help improve our professional learning experience. So please take the time to give us your feedback. And then, of course, our website, nr21.ctl.net, is the main hub for much of the professional development information and things about our software and apps as well, and any other information you might need. And a link to review the recording of today's webinar will be available within 24 to 48 hours. You should get that from Stephanie Shea. And you can find the recording as part of part 1 as well as LabCam webinar series. So if there's nothing else, I will close out today, and thank you everyone for joining us, and have a great rest of the evening.